want this poster so bad. Man, with the Catwoman poster, bro. Damn, in the theater too, bro. It really dawned upon me this week that this Batman movie has been through such a tumultuous development. First we had Ben Affleck starring and directing, then stepping back from the filmmaker chair to a whole new iteration with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. Then the movie gets underway and the plague hits the world and it's just more shit after the other. It really just goes to show that any movie that gets released is such hard work and stressful as fuck. And when it comes to a big budget superhero IP like this one, it needs to be successful both financially and critically. But alas, here we are, and I'm glad that I finally saw it and that I get to talk about it. But before I get into the review, I just want to go over some of my expectations real quick. To be honest, I was kind of happy we didn't get the Affleck film. I know, Batfleck has quite a bit of fans, and I get it, I just don't happen to be one of them. Maybe it would have been a good solo movie, I don't know, boo-hoo, it's in the past. But when I found out that Matt Reeves was directing, I was totally on board because I like his 8 movies quite a bit. I thought that they held a decent amount of artistic merit while also being entertaining blockbusters. I'm also a really big fan of the original Cloverfield. I think it's an important movie, and it's also a movie that was so important for its time, the way it held the pop culture zeitgeist. Then Robert Pattinson gets cast as the Batman, and I was in the excited camp. I'm like, yes, I want a weird emo Batman, and low-key, that's what we get here, but I'll go into that later in this review. But either ways, I thought all the casting news was good. I was a little worried they were fitting too many characters here, but I was trying to remain optimistic. The movie marketing was terrific. That Little Caesars pizza went hard, and we slammed one before the movie. So all the signs were pointing toward a positive outcome. And was my experience positive? Yes. Yes, it was. I really dug this movie. So how does this movie feel, first of all? Like, what energy is it giving off? I really appreciated Reeves' approach to make this film feel noir-inspired with hints of gothic elements. The color red is so prominent not only throughout the marketing, but in this entire movie itself. It legitimately bleeds red. All of that really helps this movie sell that detective crime film noir approach that it's going for. Honestly, the best thing that would have topped all of it off would have been some nice steamy jazz, but this movie had a more orchestral type score, and I thought it was pretty good for the most part. I also really appreciated that the movie played that Nirvana track that was found in the first trailer for this movie. But going back to that detective noir element feel that this movie's going for, we see Batman here do a lot of detective work. We see Homie here piece together so many clues, more so compared to the other iterations of this character. The world building here is also pretty good. Gotham feels like it's something ripped out of a comic book page with these intricate buildings and bright neon signs. Like, the city didn't just feel like it was borrowing buildings from set locations. It actually felt like a character. I know that's cliche, but I was really sold on the Gotham of this movie. There's a real underworld crime-ridden feeling here with locations like the Iceberg Lounge that play a huge role in the story, and all of it goes to show that Gotham is fleshed out. But what is Gotham without the crooked and disturbed that inhabit it? These characters also feel like they're ripped out of the comics, but in a good way. They're not hammy, they just feel like they belong in this particular Batman story. A story that is both loving to the comics while also being grounded in reality. I did find it funny that all the cops talk in that little New York accent, like, hey, I don't know, I don't trust this Batman fella, like, type, whatever accent type shit, but it worked. As far as the villains go, they're all pretty well done here. I'd say our big 3 are the Riddler, Penguin, and Falcone. Pauly D is a pretty darn good actor, and given his history in roles like Prisoners, I was sure he'd do a terrific job, and he does. He plays a nice balance between unhinged to calculated. I thought his motivations were fine, even though I could tell where it was going based on the prequel novel. I also really dig his design. I understand that it looks very Yeezy fashion inspired, but I think that's a good thing and fits in with the Zodiac-like aesthetic. And speaking of Zodiac, yes, I did get that David Fincher feel in this movie like so many others have pointed out. And it's good. Moving on to Colin Farrell's Penguin, man, that guy is a dog. The prosthetics are pretty dang good. I'm used to a British take on the character, but I like this mafioso type guy that we have here. You can tell Colin Farrell was having a really good time. And it reminded me that guy was Bullseye. and that was the best part of Daredevil, a horrible movie that I enjoy watching. But seriously, Colin Farrell did a pretty good job, and I can't wait to see where this character goes. I understand he's supposed to be getting his own HBO Max spinoff, and I'll definitely be tuning in. So when I found out that John Turturro was playing Falcone, I was pretty excited because I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good casting to me. And he does great. He brings that mob dude cold demeanor here with just enough charisma. So my overall worry that this movie was stuffing too many villains was fine because I thought it was all well balanced. The other characters. Jeffrey Wright was a dope-ass Gordon. I enjoy his delivery and demeanor. I think his Gordon's relationship with the Batman is one of the best aspects of this movie. He's really the only one who believes in the Batman and is risking his reputation for it. And their relationship is strongest in the sense that they make this film really feel like it's that partner cop drama or whatever you want to call it, because they bounce off each other really, really well. And I think he's also getting his own HBO Max show, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman / Selena Kyle was also a nice welcome because she's a nice twist on the femme fatale trope you tend to find in these kind of noir movies, but with a nice added depth to her. And her chemistry with Robert Pattinson's Caped Crusader was also pretty damn good. And hot. Alfred, Andy Serkis. Gonna be honest, it wasn't bad, but I just don't feel like I got enough of their relationship. Him and Bruce seem to be on this really rocky path, and I like that idea, but again, I wish we could have gotten more. Like, show me more of how their relationship is falling apart. Andy Serkis is a good actor though, so I hope the future brings more to flesh out his character, so it's not the biggest negative. And finally, Batman, aka Vengeance, aka The Dark Knight. What did I think of Rob Pattinson's performance? TBH, I really liked it. I certainly like this approach to Batman very much. I like his voice. The costume has grown on me quite a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I was kinda on it at first, but once I saw it in action here, with the way this movie works with darkness, I was like, whoa, that is actually a really good looking suit. But back to the performance. There's a whole lot of Batman here. Like, a lot. This movie really lives up to that title. It's almost as if Bruce can't stand being his human self. And I can tell that his Bruce Wayne might bring a polarized response, because some people might feel that this Bruce Wayne is a bit too brooding, that they can't draw the line between who is Bruce Wayne and who is the Batman, with Bruce Wayne being this playboy billionaire who fakes that persona just for the public's sake, and we don't really get that here. This is more of a recluse Bruce Wayne. He's legit emo, and you know what? I like it. I like emo brooding Bruce. Because to me it makes sense that Bruce acts this way, bro, because why not? I can dig a different approach because it works for this film. It also works for that film noir style that this movie is going for, because those kinds of protagonists have their worldview shattered. And you can understand that when you hear their inner thoughts in narration, which this movie does. And narration is a hit or miss, but it's presented as a device through his journal entries, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So yes, Rob Pattinson did his thing. The characters here call him Vengeance a lot, and I also like that aspect. Other things to mention before I get into the spoiler parts: I think the choreography was pretty solid for the most part. They were nice, exciting things, but I think I seen the Batman get shot up too much without any real consequence, but that's just me. He looked pretty cool beating up dudes, and I liked the ferocity to it. Also, that Batmobile was sick. I appreciated its simplicity, especially for a Batman in year 2. But my biggest concern here was the runtime, because this is a 3-hour movie, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't mind long movies, but I don't think all long movies justify their runtime. So does this movie feel like it's 3 hours? Yes and no, if that makes sense, because to be honest, I gotta watch this movie again to really judge that, but I will say for the most part it was fairly paced. The movie does fall a little bit apart in the last act, but not enough for me to really consider it a bad movie. And one last big positive, I also really want to give props to the film for being pretty creepy and at times unsettling. It felt like this movie could have been rated R, and who knows, maybe along the line we'll get a rated R cut for this movie. But it's a nice, good, hard PG-13, and I appreciated that. Some of the negatives I have kind of teeter on spoiler territory, so I suggest leaving after I give a score, because I'm not going to take that much longer because I'm tired and I have other shit to do. But thanks again for sticking around. So, The Batman, I quite enjoyed it. Is it my favorite Batman movie? No, it's probably number 2. I totally see people making this one their favorite, and I understand why. The action was good, the movie was well shot, I liked its vibe, the performances were all really solid, and it was an overall respectful adaptation. It certainly feels like its own movie, and I can't wait for what Matt Reeves and the crew have in store for the future, because I know they're building up their own universe for this one, and I'm all here for it. So I'd give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. It's pretty darn good and worth the wait, but The Dark Knight is still the GOAT. Sorry, again, I don't make the rules. Okay, but quick spoiler talk, because I just really want to talk about my main gripes. 3, 2, 1, go. Firstly, I think the flooding of the city didn't work for me because, I don't know, I wanted a more grounded level of brutality from the Riddler. I don't think the Riddler having followers was the worst choice. I thought that it was kind of cool that he had this little niche group of weirdos watching his live streams. It feels very modern in that sense. But the fact that they all decided to dress up like the Riddler and commit these terroristic acts in the final act is just kind of a bit too goofy to me. And I also couldn't help but think of Batman Begins and the Scarecrow gas that was going throughout all of Gotham City. I know people tend to criticize that side of the story, and I understand why, because it just kind of feels like it loses its grip in reality. And not everything has to be super realistic, but when you have a movie going with this kind of approach and you see that type of shit, I don't know, I'm not saying it can't happen, but it just didn't feel like it should have. Because the Riddler essentially wins in this movie, so he didn't need to do such a big final act. In fact, some people I've talked to already about this movie kind of felt like it should have ended a lot faster once Falcone died and this whole mystery was unraveled. I also think that some of the Thomas Wayne and family drama was handled a bit weird. Like, I don't mind seeing that Thomas is corrupted, but I don't know, I just thought it was handled a bit sloppily, and it didn't feel the most focused. I also thought the little hospital scene between Alfred and Bruce, their conversation, it just didn't really work for me. And I also know that Thomas's character, he has a very minor role in this movie, but I don't know, maybe I'd like to see that role go to someone maybe less generic looking. But again, that's just me. So let's talk about that ending scene. I guess the Joker is in this movie. Yeah. And I didn't like it. I had to look up who was this person in the end, and it was the guy who played Druig in Eternals. I had to look up that dumbass name. I didn't like that character. I didn't like that performance, and I don't like that movie. So if I have to go off of that, I'm not really that excited here. I didn't dig the laugh or some of the other little mannerisms. It was a quick cameo, but I don't know, it just didn't work for me. But I'm not gonna write it off completely. I'm just gonna wait and see what's in store for us, because maybe I'm just being ignorant here. Maybe he is a good actor. So open mind. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Good movie, just very little minor critiques, but honestly, I fucks with this movie. So thanks for sticking around. If you have for this long, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope to do more of these because it's pretty therapeutic for me. Like and subscribe again. Thank you for watching. Have a great one, pups, and I'll see you later.